Welcome to the Blender Goon. In this video, we're going to use Blender to make some images. Most of you guys know I don't use Photoshop or GIMP or Krita. So if I need a marketplace image or any kind of image, really, I go ahead and use Blender to create that or get Celestine to make it for me. But we're going to show you how today to make your images yourself. So to start off, you're going to need an image of your product or whatever it is you want to put on the image that we're going to be creating. So I have the tea kettle here that I made, and in order to set it up to actually get a good picture of it, you need a camera. So Shift A and we'll make a camera. And then I can just move this camera back onto Y. I really don't need to move it at all. If you go to front view and or side view or just any view you want, to have the thing displayed as, and get yourself in a good position, you can hit Control Alt number pad 0, and that will align your camera up, and then you can move that around. If you hit N for the N panel and go to View, you can lock camera to view here. So if you lock the camera to view, then you can actually move this in the center of your picture, and you can hold control and move forward and backwards to get yourself a nice area. And you can also go to the output properties and change your ratio, so you can change the size of the resolution you're going to take the picture at. That way you can get more of a square image if you need to. Once you have that, you can hit F12, and that will take a picture, but we have no light in the scene, so you don't get a good picture. So what I typically do is I uncheck my camera to view here under the N panel, and then I can move the mouse without the camera following. Then I add myself a light, so Shift A, light, and I put an area light in. I rotate it on the Y by 90, and then I just move it back on the X or Y, depending on which way you're aiming at it. But I know I'm kind of aiming this way, so I might want to put it there. But I'm just going to leave it here for now. Then I scale it up a little bigger. Sorry. I scale it up a little bigger and go into rendered mode and go to your light and crank up the power on it till it looks good. And you can hit 0 to go to camera view so you can see how it's looking with the light. And I think that's looking okay. It's not great, but I'm just doing for explanation purposes. You can move this light around and put more lights in, and just get your object lit up well. So now when we hit F12, we have a nice picture of our object, but the background's still showing, so we need to get rid of that. So if you go to your render settings and then scroll down here to film, and then scroll up, and there's a transparent button. If you click this, it gets rid of your background. Now if I hit F12, I get a nice picture of my object, and I can go ahead and save that object. So image, save as, and put it where you want to put it. I'm just going to throw it on desktop for now and get yelled at by my buddy. Name it Alpha Teapot. And save it. And we can go ahead and close this. We don't need it anymore. You can also make yourself letters and things and words to put in the scene. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this stuff because I don't need none of it. Well, actually I need the camera and stuff. Hold on. Camera and area light. But this stuff I don't need. Now you can hit F12 to check, so there's nothing in there, so that's good. Now we can add some text. So Shift A, text, and you can rotate it on the X by 90, rotate it on the Z by 90, hit 0 on the number pad to go back in the camera, and it looks like that. I actually want to get in front of this, so I'm going to hit, I'm going to select my camera and hit Alt G and Alt R, and that'll put it back in its original location, and then I can rotate it on the X by 90, rotate it on the Z by 90, then move it back on the X and hit 0. Go back to view and lock your camera to view again. That's the N key to get you in there, and then we can move the text around how we want it. I'm just rotating stuff around and getting to where I need to put it. And we can scale it up or smaller as we want it, and we can also hit Tab to go into the text, and I can backspace up and name it New Product. And then we can zoom the camera out a little bit, move over this way with it. Just put it where you need to put it. You can also add a material to it and give it some color if you want. So we'll make it red. So now we've got red, maybe yellow. Yellow, probably a new product color. We can also select the camera and turn up the light on it to make it a little brighter. Well, actually the light's turned the wrong way, so we'll just move the light. So rotate on the Z by 90 minus. Let's see. We go to the top view here and just move this back here by the camera. That's lighting up my product a little better. I can crank the light up on it some more. Hit 0 to go back into camera. That's looking pretty good. And when you're happy with your words, you can also change the font over here if you select the text and scroll down to font. You can click this little folder here and it'll pull up your Windows fonts, and you can just pick one. And let's say I like this one better. Open font, and it just changes it. Then you can lock your camera to view again and move it in the center there. And like I said, you can move in and out to get yourself how you want it. And you can also go back up to your camera up here and change the size of this stuff to make it a little neater. So now I can hit F12 and lie to you. So go ahead and close this broken image. And the reason it didn't render was because I have the camera, the collection turned off, even though the camera, the text is turned on. So it doesn't work. So turn your camera, the collection on, and then hit F12. And now I'm not lying to you. So we have this, so we can go ahead and image. Save as. And we're going to save it on desktop also. Not as teapot, we're going to call it new product text. New product alpha. And save that. And then you can close this. So we have this stuff. So now what do we do with it? Well, there's a couple different ways you can do stuff. You can actually build the thing out of prims and take a picture of it. Or you can also use the compositor. I think I might show both. So I made this candy corn man, and I was planning on using it as a HUD. And so I added some other stuff to it. But this is kind of the idea of making your vendor images or your display images. So I made some text, which is just this stuff here, and I can hit tab and rename it, and I've changed the font like I showed you earlier. I made a little backdrop here for the background of the candy corn, and I made this this here, and this is all just unwrapping and placing textures where you need them and stuff. And then I set the camera up to be where I need it. So if I move this, see here. We grab the camera and go back to camera to view. Then I can zoom in and zoom out and place my border where I need it. I can change the border under the output properties over here. If you move it, it'll scale in and scale out. I try to just kind of get it close to the size and zoom in and out until I'm getting the right border that I need. Something like that. And then if I need to, I can move it over a little bit. Once you have it placed where you want it, then you can just hit F12 with proper lighting and everything. And then you have a picture that you can save. And once you have the picture saved, then we're going to do some other stuff to it. So to save again, you just image, save as, and save where it needs to save. Once it's done rendering, I've got this thing cranked up pretty high rendering settings. Under the render here, I'm rendering at 1024. You probably don't want to render at 1024. You can render at like 512 or whatever you want to. If you guys have been following my playlist, you should be able to unwrap this stuff and get it how you want to get it. Don't forget to uncheck your camera to view once you get stuff placed, because if you move it, you're actually moving the camera. So you have to have this unlock to move it without moving the camera. So if you wanted to, you could make planes and put images on them and stack them on top of this and actually take a complete image. You could even put your objects in the scene with it. But we're going to do it a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this, or an image of this. So F12. And let it render out. And when it's done, just save it. So I'm going to save that on desktop also. Save as. So now we have those images. So I've opened up a new fresh blender here because I have my images I want to mess with. And we are going to go up here to the Compositing tab. If you don't have a Compositing tab, if you hit this little plus up here, you can go to General and Compositing and just make one. And then you'll have one up here. So jump into the Compositing tab. And I'm going to move this over because I have them on a desktop. You can just drag and drop these in here, but you need to click this little Use Node button first. So checkbox that. And we can delete this rendered layers node. We don't need it. And we'll just drag our object or our images in here. So there's 1 and 2 and 3. We can go ahead and full screen this back up. We're going to be using 2 nodes basically. One of them is a scale node, so Shift A, and you can just search for scale. We're going to need one of these, and we're going to need a transform node, so Shift A, search, transform. We're also going to need a compositing node and a viewer node, but we already have the compositing node up here. I'm going to move this down so you guys got some more screen space, and I don't need this over here either. And I'm going to shrink that also. So our composite node is the one we use to actually render out our image. So when we hit F12, this is what's being activated, the composite node. Viewer node allows us to see what we're going to be able to, what we're doing while we're doing it. And I'm actually going to change this guy up here to a image editor. And then under view, or I'm sorry, under up here. There we go. Under this, we'll have a render result, which will be here, and we're just going to select render result, and that will give us our render result here. Now, if we make our viewer node, so Shift A, search viewer, and we'll put that there. Now we can plug this into here, and we get our image. And we can also plug it into our composite, but we don't need it till last. We'll just hang on without it for a minute. And I also lied to you. So up here we don't need render result, we need viewer node. It wasn't there before because we didn't have it yet. So click viewer node and that'll show you your same thing that's here. So it's just easier to see once we get some nodes going. It's easier to see over here. I've got this a little grayed out because of the lighting I had when I took the image. So make sure you got a nice image before you start this stuff. We will also need to change our resolution. Second Life Marketplace uses 700 by 525, so we can change that to 700 by 525. And now we can plug our scale node in here. And we're going to change it from relative to render size and then hit crop. we need another scale node. So we're going to Shift D that scale node and drop it right here. And go ahead and change it back to relative. And then we can change the size of this to match our render size. And that looks good. Now, if you want to check what this is looking like, it's going to look like that. But if you want to check it over here to make sure it's looking right, you can plug it into Composite. And I'm sorry, not over here. But once you plug it into Composite, you can hit F12, and that'll give you your render image. So we can go ahead and close that. Now we're going to copy these two guys. So Shift D and move them down. We'll plug this one in. And we can hit Control Shift and right click and drag from here to here, and that will create a mix node for us, which lays them on top of each other. And we can go ahead and open this mix node up too. So now we need our transform node in between here. We can also scale this thing. So the crop is fine the way it is, but we need to scale it down so that it's not crazy big. And add our transform node in, which is down here. So we'll just grab it, and I'm going to make a copy of it because I don't want to change the settings of it, and drop it on there. So our image is a transparent image, but we're not seeing it here. And the reason being is because on our mix shader, we need to click this little alpha button here. And now we can see our image behind our new image. You guys can move the position with these numbers over here. And you can change the angle of it with this guy. And you can change the scale of it with this one. Let's do 130. Oh, no, 0.130. 0.130. There we go. That's better. And like I said, change the position with this one, so I can move it here, move it up this way. Maybe make it a little bigger. I'm happy with that. I'm not being real precise with it, so it's fine. And like I said, you can hit F12 to take a look at it. Not looking bad. And then we can do the same thing with this one down here. So we got our transform node there. I'm going to copy this one because it's not changed. And this one don't look that bad either. We'll copy that one. And just plug them all in. Oh, that's the same image down there. I must have dropped the same image twice. Let me delete that. And grab our pot and put him in there. And then plug him in. And then if we Control Shift right click from this mix shader to this scale node, it'll create another mix shader. And again, turn this on. You know, click our little button here so we can see our pot. And then we'll change this back to 1 so it's even size. And if we grab and drag both of them, if it lets me, you can rescale the pot evenly. So we'll put the pot on there. Change the y-axis to put it where we want it. And once you have everything created, like you can make other things like one LI for one land impact, and put something like original mesh on there, and just jazz that up until you like it. When you're done with everything, you just hit F12, and that'll produce your image. And then you can go to Image, Save As, and then save it down there. We'll call it New Vender Image, Save As, and we close that. Now we have it saved, and there it is. And it's all ready for the marketplace. Okay, let's close this and go back to Blender. So what I would do if I was you guys, I would create something like, whoop, I unplugged the wrong one. I create something like this. That way you guys can just add your stuff in whenever you need to. So that way you have a original vendor image that every time you make a new product, you take a picture of it, you drop it in here, and you can actually leave this one plugged in. And that way it makes it simple. So to join them together, you just plug this one into here, and then unplug these two, and plug this one into those two. And that'll get you ready to go to render. And it makes it easy if you have this stuff ready to go. I think you can actually mute this. So if you hit mute there, that will give you your regular image. And then whenever you drop your new one in, you can just hit M on this again and unmute it. That's M as in Michael. You can also use other images also. You just keep redoing this over and over again. So you take all these and you copy them and go from back to front. So that's the back image, and then this thing's in front of that image, and then this is in front of both images. And if you have it set up like this, it should be easy to do. And like I said, you can grab a texture out of another file, and you can either replace it. So let's grab like this one. Oh, that's the same one. Yeah, we'll do this. Shingles, doesn't matter. So you can grab that and just change out the plug. You can actually close this and open it in a new file if you want to, but we're just going to change out the plug. So now the background image is that, and you might have to your scale node, this one, to make it fit properly. But once you play with this stuff enough, guys, you'll get the hang of it, and you can mess with it pretty quick. And I like it. Like I said, I don't use GIMP or Photoshop or anything, so I just mess around in here and make vendor images as I need to. Okay, that's it for this video, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also have a Discord server if you want to jump in, and if you run into problems or need help, I'm pretty much always there to help and fix any issues you have. And I have a Patreon if you'd like to join that. The link's in the description. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks.